Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Hachiro Kubota of GAP Japan. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for being invited to such a wonderful conference. It's my great pleasure to be able to talk to you today in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. By the way, do you understand my English?
Yes. Good.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, English, it's very difficult for Japanese to learn English. English is a devil's language. So there are many devils in front of me. I'm terrible. Mr. William Sherwood, the founder of the Rochester UFO Study Group, a host of this conference, and I have been a correspondent for some decades. Yesterday, I have met him for the first time and have found out that even though he is 10 years older than I, he looks very young, younger than I, and energetic, which was a surprise to me. Mr. Sherwood has met George Adamski many times while he was alive, of which I envy, because I myself have never met George Adamski. Well, anyway, I have received many pieces of valuable information from Mr. Sherwood regarding George Adamski throughout many years, and I am very grateful for this information. It was in September 1953 that I first encountered a book written by George Adamski. In those days, I lived in a small country town called Masda in Shimane Prefecture. Just next to Hiroshima Prefecture, Japan, working as a senior high school teacher. In the late afternoon, I walked into a bookstore and casually picked up a book titled Flying Saucers Have Landed, which was written in Japanese, and began to browse the pages. There was one part of the book where I was so astonished that I almost jumped into the air. In that part of the book, it described the incident which had occurred on November the 20th, 1952, when a scout ship, a flying saucer from the planet Venus, had landed in the vicinity of Desert Center, California. Adamski was successful in meeting with a Venusian man who had stepped out of the ship. I was so excited that the excitement prevented me sleep 3 nights in a row afterward. Then, the following year, I wrote a letter to George Adamski expecting his response. But Adamski didn't reply my letter immediately until it was 6 months later. The response was so sincere to make you believe that he was a man of truth. That was the beginning of our frequent correspondence. Then, after a while, he wrote his second book, Inside the Spaceships, and sent this copy to me. Upon reading it, I decided to translate it into Japanese. In 1963, the Japanese version of the book was published in Tokyo. That book attracted great attention from the public and made a great influence on the UFO researching society in Japan. From that time on, I kept translating and publishing his writings one after the other, while keeping in touch with him regularly. In 1961, I established GAP Japan by his request, Adamu Ski's request. As I told you earlier, I have never seen him before. He gave me a solid guidelines for becoming a cosmic man by his many letters. And now, I can honestly say that he was the best teacher I have ever had in my life, and I strongly believe that he was one of the greatest sages in the century. Thus, I am totally convinced that everything George Adamski experienced and said was completely true. Therefore, I also believe in the fact he told us that the highly improved people dwell on all the other planets. In our solar system, developing greatly advanced civilizations. This will be confirmed and accepted as the very truth someday in the next century, I firmly believe. Until then, we may have to hear unfavorable words from disbelievers or skeptics. But now, I optimistically believe that this planet is steadily but strongly proceeding into a real space age. George Adamski has been very famous all over the world, but since his death in 1965, his name has fallen very rapidly. The reason is, firstly, his books have been out of print in most countries for years. Secondly, we have kept hearing from both US and Russian that the space probes have found no intelligent life forms in the solar system except on Earth. We have been taught that way through media and the textbooks. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have been taught that the very that way through media and the textbooks. Thus, majority of people on Earth, including Japanese, completely believe in this false information. I know in Japan there are quite a few public figures and prominent scientists who have read Adamski's books and support him in secret. In Japan, most of Adamski's writings are still in print, organized in 10 volumes as a complete collection of George Adamski's work. I translated all of them into Japanese. Furthermore, a few years ago, one of George Adamski's co-workers and my good old friend, Mrs. Alice Pomeroy, sent me a great amount of dictational documents of George Adamski's lectures. And all of them is to be printed in our Britain UFO contactee as a serial article. Then after finishing the series in the Britain, I'm going to add them to the complete collection of George Adamski's work, which means the collection will be holding around 20 volumes in the future. I guess there are no other countries where you can find such many translations of Adamski's writings. Let us go back to the mainstream. According to Adamski, there are 12 planets in the solar system. On all of those 12 planets, except on Earth, there exists a highly advanced civilizations. Each of those planets is almost like heaven. They have no war, no disease, and no poverty. But people on Earth never believe in this truth. They just laugh about it and never take it seriously. Do the other planets in the solar system really support no intelligent life forms? About this matter, the founder of GAP USA and one of my closest friends, Mr. Daniel Ross, is explaining thoroughly in his book, UFO's Complete Evidence from Space, which is in print. He's not here today. According to him, high officers in the US government, especially those in NASA and NASA, clearly are aware of the advanced civilizations which exist on the planet Venus and Mars through their investigation by space probes. However, they are hiding the truth from the public. I recommend this book to those who are interested in the UFO field. Why is NASA concealing such an important fact? Why don't they release the true information? Very natural questions. But this world is not peaceful enough for them to release the truth. It's been 50 years since World War II has finished. Still wars are going on around the world, as you know. Racial antagonism, religious oppositions, economic wars between Japan and America, and many other difficult problems are piled up. Under these circumstances, if the United States announced that there are highly advanced civilizations other than Earth in our solar system, this fact would cause a panic almost the people on Earth, which should be avoided. This is what the U.S. government is concerned about, I think. Therefore, I think the attitude of the U.S. government about this matter is, in a way, not so improper for the time being. Until the public pays more attention to the space and the truth about the UFOs spreads much wider among the public, it may be necessary for the U.S. government to keep concealing the truth about this matter. Do you think so? By the way, Japan has grown rapidly in many respects under the protection of the United States. This is true. Since the Japan-US Security Pact had been signed after World War II, and now we have a complete freedom of speech in Japan, which enables us to research and talk about the UFO affairs very freely. In such circumstances, since 1961, I have been directing DAP Japan, which is a space and UFO study group, supporting George Adamski's experience and philosophy. To continue this activity has not been easy for me, but somehow I could manage it, thanks to Adamski and many Japanese supporters. Of course, American supporters. One of the major reasons for it is in Japan, there are rather many people who are interested in this issue regarding George Adamski. Probably about half of the present population in Japan know at least George Adamski's name due to our effort to try to spread the information about him. Half of the present population. The main reason for the Japanese to be interested in his writing is because the Japanese are rather dedicated to spiritual belief and has a quality to be naturally attracted to philosophies of cosmic nature. And now, I'd like to introduce you to what JP Japan is and what JP Japan does these days. JP Japan, which has 1,700 people in its members, has 18 branches. Throughout Japan. The head office is my house in Tokyo. The head office and the 18 branches hold their own monthly seminar to study George Adamski's cosmic philosophy. textbooks which we have been using are George Adamski's Telepathy, the Cosmic or Universal Language, and his last book, Science of Life. In Tokyo monthly seminar, I lecture to the attendants explaining about the contents of the book. Lectures are tape recorded and videotaped, which are then sent to all the other branches throughout Japan. In each branch seminar, after listening to or watching the video, the members hold a discussion on the contents. In the Tokyo seminar, after my lecture, questions are asked and answered, followed by a telepathy practice. After the seminar, we go to a restaurant and have a dinner party. In August last year, we held the 300th monthly seminar in Tokyo, which was celebrated in March this year. The Tokyo head office also holds an annual General Assembly. About 200 to 300 people from all parts of Japan attend to the Congress every year. After the assembly, many of them participate in a dinner party and cultivate friendship for brotherhood cheerfully. In the General Assembly held last October, Mr. Daniel Ross of GAP USA and Mr. Michel Zilga is here from France were guest speakers. Michel, stand up. In this year's assembly, which we held on the 23rd this month, a well-known Japanese contactee, Mr. Shoichi Haruka, this is a pseudonym, will be the main speaker. He has many experiences to be abroad on scout ships and motherships, and has been introduced to other planets such as Mercury and Venus, just like Adamski. He has a strong ESP power and has been on TV frequently as an ESP person in Japan in the UFO field. He is also well known as a true contactee. A few years ago, he presented a research paper on ESP to a university in the United States, America, and received a degree of a Doctor of Philosophy. Incidentally, I published a book introducing his experience with the UFOs and the space people. The title of the book is known as The Truth About UFOs and the Space People. GAP Japan also publishes its bulletin, UFO Contactee, 4 times a year. The bulletin is sent to all GAP members as well as to the main bookstores throughout Japan. As a matter of fact, there are many people who have contacted space people in Japan. Some of them went aboard scout ships or motherships which come from other planets. But most of them keep their experience to themselves. It's a secret. Otherwise, they might get into some dangerous situations caused by the science group. In this world, there are many people who have contacted space people and gone abroad in their spaceships other than George Adamski. This fact clearly supports George Adamski's experience. Furthermore, there are many space people living in Japan, I know. Since they just look like us, wearing same kind of clothes, usually nobody can recognize them. I have seen them many times, not only in Japan, but in some other countries as well. I have seen two space brothers in Seattle, California, and one space girl in Israel, and one in the Vatican, who was working as a monk in the St. Peter's Cathedral and acted as a guide for me at the time. First, I thought he was from Scandinavia because he was a handsome boy. But later, I knew he was Vinodian. Very handsome boy, wearing a black what should I say, long robe. There are many space people living all over the world, which include Tokyo. Of course, maybe there are many space people in Washington, D.C. I have seen a young space lady in a cafe in Tokyo. She was surely from another planet, but she looked just like a Japanese and was so beautiful. She suggested, live joyously and happily like us, and be kind to others like us. Space people have an occupation similar to ours, walking on the streets like us, and observing the condition of Earth while helping us to improve ourselves. Quite a few members of GAP Japan also see them often. Then, the question is, how are we able to recognize them? Answer, firstly, try to see their aura. Do you see aura? Radiation. Space people radiate a special kind of aura, which is very much different from ours. So, through their aura, you can recognize them. Secondly, apply mental telepathy. For instance, if you find a person who seems like a spaceman or a woman, then silently ask him or her questions such as, are you from other planets? And you may be lucky enough to get an answer, yes, silently. So telepathy, mental telepathy is very important. But the majority of people on Earth are not aware of such important facts. And many of them are still saying that George Adamski was a liar. In this aspect, we can say that they are still blind. However, I am not so pessimistic. As I said earlier, in the next century, people would pay more attention to the space. Thus, we don't need to persuade non-believers to believe us. So GP Japan is now undertaking its activity very calmly and gently. In Japan, UFOs or spaceships from other planets are frequently sighted. Especially, members of JP Japan see them often because they see the ships not only accidentally but also intentionally by their telepathic calls to space people in the sky. When one sends a telepathic call, such as our cosmic brother from other planets, would you please come out and let us see you? Very often they appear. Occasionally, GAP Japan holds a meeting for UFO sighting once in a while. Usually at night in some suburban area, like a vast grassy plain where you can have a clear view of the sky. There, the participants send the call to the sky all together. Then usually UFOs appear, and the place is filled with cheers. As for myself, I've seen numerous UFOs so far.
Oops. George fell on the floor. He fell. Poor George. Okay, he's put back on.
He says, don't speak anymore. Clairvoyance, future pre-perception, and past life recall are as important abilities as telepathy. Future pre-perception, these abilities are inherent to us, so we have only to develop them through practice. George Adamski shows clear procedures of the practice in his book, Telepathy, the Cosmic Universal Language. I think that book contains an excellent work. But unfortunately, it's out of print in most countries, although in Japan, its translation is in print as a second volume, as a complete collection of George Adamski's work. Do you understand me?
Very good.
Okay. As for telepathy, Adamski said one of the weakest points for the people on Earth was that they lacked their telepathic intuition. People on Earth want to see some material evidence to believe anything. They never believe anything that has no material evidence. It is because people on Earth have not developed their telepathic ability. On the other hand, space people are masters using of telepathy. But someday, here on Earth as well, ESP power such as telepathy or clairvoyance will attract serious attention from the public. By the way, GAP Japan has promoted a study tour to an area in the vicinity of their center, California, almost every year. It's the place where George Adamski contacted a Venusian man in November 20th, 1952. We found the exact contact spot in the desert 6 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be able to specify the spot by myself during the study throughout the year. By matching the landscape with the two pictures, which were taken just after the memorial contact had been made. I will show you the slides of them later. And 3 years ago, 1992, on January the 26th, we visited the same place. 6 people in the tour, 5 of us from Japan, and Mr. Daniel Ross from Concord, California, who has joined us in Los Angeles. And the next day, on January the 27th, a little past 2 p.m., suddenly a huge white cigar-shaped object appeared in the sky. It was moving slowly from our left-hand side, which was west, to the right-hand side. 5 of us, including Mr. Ross, saw it. 3 of us through binoculars. The object had no wings. It was long and narrow and made no sound at all. Before we recognized the object, there was a fighter flying in the same direction just below it. Compared to the size of the plane, we estimated the object was several hundred meters long. There was a black thin line on the little left of its center, vertically crossing the body. Except the line, we could see nothing but a white body. About 3 minutes later, the object suddenly disappeared when another fighter appeared and approached from the right-hand side. It's strange. That was just a mystical event. On that day, I didn't use any telepathy, but I had an inspiration that some tremendous thing might be happening. Then it came true. When it happened, all of us celebrated with cheers. That night, we celebrated with wine. There's no wonder. Taste of the wine was wonderful. California wine. You can surely say that their center, California, is a very intriguing place for the people who are interested in UFO field. I went there this year again with some young members of GAP Japan. This time, none remarkable things happened. Well, after all, space people must be so busy that they can't afford giving service to us so frequently, I guess. Now, we, as GAP Japan, are also trying not to be too fanatical about George Adamski's claims. We are trying to be polite to others in both speech and behavior concerning UFO matters. We calmly undertake our duties, never trying to counterattack our positions from skeptical people. This is because we strongly believe that the truth will win without fail one day. Although George Adamski may be neglected by a majority of people for the time being, I believe the day will surely come when he'll be highly respected as one of the greatest in the world, next century maybe. I understand that in the United States, it's very hard for you to acquire George Adamski's books. For this matter, I also believe we can count on some other participants in this conference, including Mr. William Shout of the Rochester UFO Study Group. He has dedicated many years to the research of UFO affairs, and I'm sure he'll continue to be a key person in the field of UFO research in the USA. Although what George Adamski told us is not accepted yet, we at GAP Japan are not pessimistic for the future at all. No matter what the situation is now, we are working on our purpose with hopeful thoughts and positive visions for the future. At present, the UFO field in the world may be awfully confused, but the confusion will never last long. All the situations here on Earth will be getting better and better. So let us proceed with great hope. Thank you very much for your sincere attention. Now, I'll show you about 60 slides here. Please wait here. Thank you very much.